As the year zooms by, Sonic X Shadow Generations is getting closer than it actually seems. We're already 5 months into the year, and the game is about 5 to 6 months away. Despite this game being half remaster, half new game, I think there's actually a lot riding on this game because of Sonic Movie 3 coming up with Shadow being the main villain or character or whatever they're gonna have him be. So overall, I think that's pretty exciting. But with that said, let's talk about 5 things to look forward to in Shadow Generations. Starting with Shadow Generations, first thing I want to talk about is the music. But speaking of music, you guys should check out the coolest sounding Sonic remix I've heard in a long time. It's a remix by Video Game Remixes, and it's actually the song you're hearing right now. So if you want to go check out the song now or after you finish this video, hit that link in the description below in the top of the pinned comments. This song sounds so good. But with that said, the music is something I think that really needs to hit in Sonic X Shadow Generations. Music is something they have honestly always hit with Sonic. I feel like a lot of the music isn't as good as it used to be, but I'm gonna say Sonic Frontiers was an exception, and I also love the cyberspace tracks. And honestly, that might be because a lot of those songs were original songs that had no ties to Green Hill or Chemical Plant or anything of the sort. They were just new cool songs. Shadow Generations seems to be taking place in Shadow's mind, going through his past events similar to like Sonic Generations, so I can imagine there's going to be some remixes of some songs. You've already heard some remixes in Sonic Forces. You've heard the Westopolis remix that was also, I think, mixed with Radical Highway a little bit. You've also had the White Jungle remix in Sonic Forces as well, and even the Shadow main theme on the World Hub. So I can imagine a lot of that is probably going to be back in the game or reused or just redone. A song that I would personally love to see would be Sky Troops from Shadow the Hedgehog. I feel like that's probably one of my favorite songs from that game. I love how ethereal that song sounds, and it really feels like you're up in the sky, similar to Sky Sanctuary in a way. The guitar in that song also goes pretty hard. What songs are you expecting to hear in the game remixed or changed? And from what we've seen, we already know Westopolis and Final Chase are going to be in the game, so those are for sure going to have new songs. Music aside, something that's pretty interesting to me about the Shadow Generations trailer is that it looks like there's going to be more forms of combat outside of just using his homing attack. Or in this case, he just uses his Chaos Control teleport, which is not even a homing attack, but you know what I mean. But later in the trailer, we see Shadow moving in a nice 3D environment, like in a circle, which is pretty surprising because the game looks pretty stiff, almost like Forces. Which I guess is pretty similar to the Zavik fight now that I think about it. You had a lot more 3D control. But that aside, I saw Shadow throw a Chaos Spear at BioLizard, and that makes me think maybe Shadow's gonna have more abilities than Sonic is gonna have, kinda like Sonic 06. In Sonic 06, Shadow was able to use Chaos Spear, and he could also teleport and do his multiple kicks and hits in the air as his homing attack. In my opinion, every time Shadow is added to a game, that's how he should play, because I don't think he should just be a skin for Sonic. In my opinion, making both of them play differently is always more valuable. That is something that Sonic games have always been good at, is making the multiple playable characters play differently. There are some exceptions, like maybe Sonic Adventure 2, where they were kind of skin swaps of each other for the hero and villain, but I kind of view that differently because that game feels like it's more targeting a specific type of stage level rather than character type. But overall, in the classics, you have Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and they all played very differently. Sonic is the fastest and does his normal Sonic things. Tails can actually just fly for a long time and can also swim. Knuckles can glide and he can climb and also break some objects like in Sonic Mania. They all do things different that make them unique, and doing a whole playthrough with those characters is a lot more fun. But Sonic and Shadow have been literal mirrors of each other, which was the original intention, but Shadow is a lot more than just a mirror of Sonic. And I'm glad they're putting that DNA into this game, as that is something now to look forward to. The third thing I think you should look forward to for this game is the graphics and the animations. Sonic X Shadow Generations looks so good. Like, the animations are very, very high quality compared to even Sonic Frontiers in my opinion. At least in the cutscenes, I'll say. Now, gameplay, that might be a little different, but that's something we can dive into for another video. But overall, I'm loving the level of expression that they're adding to these characters like Shadow, and it's really selling that this is a Shadow game, and just quality of those animations are very, very nice, and the graphics look very good. I've always stood by this. Hedgehog Engine 2 looks great. It is a great graphics and lightings engine, and a lot of people get confused on Hedgehog Engine 2. That's all it is. It's just a graphics and lightings engine. That's it. I think Sonic Team so far is killing that. Shun Nakamura, you got a lot riding on you for this game, man. The next thing to look forward to, in my opinion, as well, is the level design and the level picks. We're going to be seeing some of these levels remade for the first time. We have never seen Final Chase or Final Rush redone ever. Same goes for Westopolis. Future Jayden here. Yes, I know Sonic Generations has the aesthetic from the Space Colony arc on the bridges or whatever you want to call those things. I mean the actual level. I don't mean those. I don't just mean the aesthetic. Alright, now resume. There's going to be a lot of stages probably that are from Shadow's past. I would love to see Sky Troops like I mentioned earlier, but I would love to see the actual stage in the game. And that would make a lot of sense because we see Black Doom from Shadow the Hedgehog, and he was in Final Chase, which is obviously out of place. I also kind of hope they pick a level from Sonic 06. Now the first level you start out with Shadow's story is White Acropolis, but I feel like Flame Core would actually be a really cool stage pick. It's a cool adjacent level from Crisis City, as you're going inside of a literal volcano, and I don't know, I just think Flame Core and Shadow just goes together really well. I think the tricky part with picking levels for Shadow is a lot of his games that he's in, he also shares those levels with other characters like Sonic. So it isn't like they're specific to him. Games where they are specific to him are of course games like Shadow the Hedgehog or Sonic Adventure 2. But he doesn't have a lot of very specific kinds of stages just for him, so I don't mind some overlap with stages that Sonic has already been in. What levels from the past would you like to see return in Shadow Generations? Let me know in the comments below. And last but not least, I would love to see how this story unfolds. I would love to know where this fits in this new Sonic timeline we have going on, how this makes sense, or is this happening at the same time in Sonic Generations? We have the plot synopsis, which I'll read briefly. In this brand new story campaign, Shadow's old nemesis Black Doom reemerges and threatens to take over the world. Shadow must journey into his past, confront painful memories, face familiar foes, and unlock new powers to save the world and prove why he's known as the ultimate life form. One of the parts that interests me the most is that end part saying that Shadow has to unlock new powers. That means Shadow's going to be able to do stuff we've probably never seen him do before, which is going to be pretty interesting. And whatever those new powers are, that's probably something that could stick around forever going forward into new Sonic games. It'd be an interesting trend because, as we know, Sonic himself got some new powers with his Super Sonic 2, or Cyber Sonic, or whatever you would like to call it from Sonic Frontiers. And of course, that painful memories aspect most definitely refers to probably his memories with Maria, as well as just Black Doom inherently messing with his mind. This is probably the most interesting aspect to me because it feels like they actually want to tell some kind of story here. I guess Sonic Frontiers must be rubbing off on a lot of these other projects, except Sonic Rumble, I guess. But those are the top 5 things for Sonic X Shadow Generations that I am looking forward to the most. What are you looking forward to the most? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, you know what they say.
Oh well, whatever happens, happens.